So, hi everybody, a very good evening and good morning to people from other parts of the world. This is me, Jaslin Kapani from New Delhi, India, NCR. I wanted to say a quick hello with a nice cup of Indian cha, which I'm just polishing off. And you know what my post is all about? A few months back, I had shared this. This was my own realization when I shared that, failure isn't when something doesn't go right or something doesn't happen the way you wanted. Failure is something when you give up yourself, right? And I opened up this one book, which is actually the bestseller. Uh, a book by it's a book by an author called Jeff Keller, right? And he talks about attitude. And first, I opened up the book, I read something else, and then I consciously closed the book and I opened up the chapter, and I was like, okay, whatever opens up is going to be something which is totally for me. And the first two paragraphs of the book, page 110, are on the same thought, which I recollected and remembered after I kind of got reading this. And he says, when you get right down to any task or life, there is no such thing as a failure. There are only results, and some are successful, and the others don't happen. And he's given an example of one of the amazing actors, Harrison Ford. So I watched so many movies of his. Have you seen his movies? He's amazing. So he shared the real example of Harrison Ford. He says in 1960s, Ford sought acting jobs and he had very little success. And he was told by certain executives that he lacked the star quality. And when Ford had trouble supporting his family, he gave up acting and worked as a carpenter. So lives of stars also has not been very easy and stuff. So it's not just glamour, it's just not what you see, which is so exciting and so amazing. A star like Shah Rukh Khan standing on his, roof, and, the entire traffic jam happening and stuff. People have had a tough life, but we're talking about Hollywood here because I prefer Hollywood more. And Harrison Ford, for the great actor that he is. So he says, I gave up on acting because I was told by a lot of people, I was criticized, and I didn't have a star like quality, and I was working as a carpenter. Then he was introduced to George Lucas, who gave him a part in a 1973 movie, American Graffiti. He says a few years later, Lucas cast him as Han Solo in Star Wars, and Ford was on his way to superstardom. So he says, when I get thinking about it, failure doesn't mean you've reached the end of the road. And just because you failed once or twice or thrice, it doesn't mean your story's over, that success is impossible. It's not possible. The only successful possibility is making the impossible possible, and when you quit, and quitting is final. But because continued attempts and commitment and diligence can turn a failure or nothing happening into a success, it's always a good idea to not consider failure as an end of the story. My thoughts and my realizations are that if you don't participate in this world, no matter what you're told and stuff, you will not succeed. And if you keep looking at one plan, or you're only focused on certain people or few people or a certain way of doing things, or a certain, you know, if you keep focusing only on one goal or one set of personalities and stuff, or one plan A, things don't go work, and then you get disappointed, you feel disheartened, and you feel things don't work and stuff. So this is for those people who kind of like me. I'll tell you what, it was a phase in my life, and I literally lost my job because the place where I was working was shutting down due to losses and stuff. It was unprepared, and for almost 1.5 years, 2 years, I did not get a job. I was told I was overqualified. I kept, pushing myself, and I kept thinking, God, I don't know whether